My name is Mitchell Larkin, member of the undergraduate group number 10 for the Software Engineering and Project course. This presentation shall give a short review of the software testing conducted by the group throughout the development process. The following presentation shall analyze how the specifications for the software were defined, how the clients were involved in the development of these specifications, what testing management plans were in place, how the testing was executed, and how bugs in the software were tracked and then fixed. Please note the acronyms that will be used throughout this video. The specification of software requirements is an essential part of testing, as it gives both the users and developers a metric with which to measure the performance and quality of the software. During the early stages of the project, questions regarding the software requirements were prepared and asked during client meetings in order to yield a solid understanding between the developers and the clients. This enabled ideas the group had about the software requirements to either be approved, modified, or rejected by the end users, thus allowing for both parties to contribute to the development process. Use cases were also discussed in these meetings, which allowed the clients to clarify on specific behaviors of the software in certain situations. These requirements and behaviors were then specified within the SRS document and given certain acceptance criteria for the software to satisfy. This document shall then be used to assist the client and developers in assessing and verifying the final product upon completion. While this was the main focus of the document, there were no explicit definitions made as to the possible changes to the software over its life cycle. In order to improve the testing process, a test plan was created after the submission of the first draft of the SRS document. This plan contained all of the user specification, along with some risk assessment, safety issues, and test cases for as many situations as possible. While numerous of the acceptance criteria tests were agreed upon by the clients, not all of the test cases in the plan had been approved. These test cases were designed to cover the various aspects of the project. For example, hardware tests consisted of testing the various sensors and motors, including the color sensor, touch sensor, large motors, and other similar components. The software tests primarily focused on the algorithms used in each of the modes of operation. These modes consist of scanning the boundary, finding deposits, returning to base, and so on. The issue with this test plan is that there is a sufficient lack of detail pertaining to the data values and expected results of each test case. This is due to the fact that it can be hard to quantify whether the robot has successfully carried out certain operations. Each member of the group does have an understanding of the expected behavior of the robot, but this behavior has not been explicitly documented. For example, moving the robot to a specified coordinate has a well-defined success criteria. When issued this command, does the robot move to the correct position? While this is simply common sense, a well-structured document stating the success criteria would have ensured that the testing process is well understood by the group. The environment in which the software is tested is the same environment in which the user shall run the software. The program for the robot is loaded into its memory and run, while the user terminal builds and runs the UI from a command line. This ensures that the product is being tested is the same software that the end user shall receive and use. While this defines how each test is to be executed, there is no method in place for the tracking of bugs and associated failed test cases. Versions of the software that fail certain tests are committed to SVN with appropriate messages and then discussed amongst the group, but again are not explicitly documented. This method is dangerous as it can result in miscommunication and disorganization within the group. A better method would have been to have some form of checklist that is regularly updated with bugs that have been discovered or fixed, and states any test cases associated with said bugs. While the plan is to ensure that the final product has been fully tested, there may be certain situations that arise during the presentation that have not been addressed. Due to the time constraints, it is difficult to fully prevent such errors from occurring. Regardless, all software shall only be implemented in the final product if it has been deemed fully functional by the group's testing process. In summary, this presentation has covered the development of software specifications with the end users, the form of test planning and management used by the group, what kind of environment the tests were executed in, and how bugs in the software were handled. While the testing process used by the group could have been improved upon with better planning and organization, software tests have been successfully executed to verify functional software modules. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for your time.